So here comes Satanism, which most of us would like to write off as harmless antics by some lunatic fringe. A few years ago maybe, but not now.
God surrounded himself with archangels. Among them was Lucifer, the bearer of light.
Here comes Satan.
Modern Satanism.
In a curious twist of events, Satan was taken up as a hero, an admirable rebel against authority.
The presence of Satanism and related activities have surfaced in society.
Modern Satanism.
A Satanist priest.
Modern Satanism. Modern Satanism.
Here comes Satan.
Here comes Satan.
Here comes Satan. Here comes
Here comes Satan. Here comes Satan. Here comes Satan.
And you're listening to Modern Satanism. Welcome to it. I'd like to thank everyone for their support and kind words after the first podcast. Much appreciated. My name is Reep. I'm a priest with a satanic temple, and I'll be your host. On this podcast, we'll be listening to, or you'll be listening to, a conversation I had with Zach Black. Zach, as you may well know, is from the Satanic International Network, and also a priest with the Satanic Temple. What do you know about that? So I'll be talking to him during the second half of the show. I'll also be sharing with you some of the satanic news and information. News involving or mentioning Satanism and the devil from this week.
You're listening to Modern Satanism.
We don't want to be called a homophobic. And I tell people, listen, I'm not afraid of homosexuals. I'm really not. Matter of fact, I love them. I love them enough to care to warn them that if they want to continue living like this, it's the flames of hell for you. Now, if you don't like that, don't get mad at me. I didn't write the rule book. Almighty God wrote it. And it's a sin against him. And I tell you, listen, gentlemen, we live in a world where there is so much compromise. This city that we're in, that's all they do is compromise. We cannot go down that road because you and I are going to have to stand before God one day and give an account to him. And you don't want him to say from his lips, you were a coward.
That was good old Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son, one of his sons, who was speaking to a group in Washington, D.C. that must have been all men, because if you listen, you hear him say, "Listen, gentlemen." I guess there's no women in attendance. I don't know. Maybe he just invited guys on the off chance that there would be some homosexuals there that would heed his warning and stop being gay because the flames of hell are waiting for them. Thanks, Franklin. Thanks for carrying on your daddy's namesake, spreading ignorance and doing it with the threat of hell, eternal damnation. Because we all know that hell is not punishment, it's torture. So when you Christians or anybody else who's believing in hell needs to describe what's going on there, we don't call it punishment. We need to call it torture because there is no point to what's being done. It's simply suffering for the sake of suffering to get someone else's rocks off or something else, but not to change behavior. Punishment is in hopes of changing your behavior so that you can become a better person or stop engaging in the negative behavior. But when you go to hell, you're screwed. Your chances are all off. They're gone. There's no more chances for you. You're going to be tortured for all eternity. So let's get it right, please. Okay? Thank you. Here's the conversation I had with him. Hey, Zach. Thanks for coming on Modern Satanism. You want to introduce yourself and kind of let people know what your background is?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm Zach Black, 38, founder of the Satanic and National Network. I'm a spokesperson for the sect of the Horn God and also for the Satanic Temple in California. I was introduced to Satanism around the age of 13, 14, became a Church of Satan member at the age of 18, and resigned from the Church of Satan in 2010.
I know. Was that was it a bad breakup with that, or was it just like not a fit anymore?
We left. I just left the Church of Satan because it wasn't fit anymore. The Church of Satan that I signed up to be with was under Anton Lavey, and when Peter Gilmore took over, there was the whole structure of the Church of Satan changed, and I wasn't real happy with it, and they kind of became defunct and weren't doing anything, so I figured, why still stay a member?
Yes, I was doing an interview this past week with somebody, and they would ask me, why I thought if I thought people were moving away from the Church of Satan and why I thought they were, and the people that I know is the same story as you're talking about. It's really kind of just wasn't really doing anything for them, it wasn't doing anything, and just kind of. It wasn't that they so much wanted to leave as they just kind of just weren't involved in it anymore, just because there wasn't anything going on. When you're a member of a group or something, and if you have a meetup group and they never have any meetups, they're not going to hold together real strong. So I guess
and different people join the Church of Satan for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
I joined in 1994. This is before the internet, really. Before the internet as we know it. Yeah, and basically, I joined to meet other like-minded Satanists, and I didn't. I never really got there, although the Church of Satan asked me if I wanted to be a spokesperson in my area. At the time, I didn't have the money because they wanted me to send a VHS copy of myself articulating fundamentals and principles of Satanism, as under Anton Lavey. But back then, camcorders were big fucking bucks, man. I was going to shove a lot of $1,000, and I was delivering pizzas to buy a camcorder to film myself.
Yeah, no shit on. Yeah, that is the beginning just before the internet.
Yeah, well, one thing that really destroyed the Church of Satan was the internet. Anton Lavey, because the internet was not really prevalent when he died, in the late 90s, he had the attitude that the internet was, not going to be like
underestimated.
He underestimated it, and Peter Gilmore took that attitude. And when Peter Gilmore had this administrative thumb wrestling match in the hierarchy of the Church of Satan, he kind of. That was like in the early 2000s. He kind of lost touch with the Satanist community and a lot of other organizations, such as the Sect of the Horn God, the Satanic Temple, and even some that predate both of these, came forward and were able to make a stance. I mean, if you look at my YouTube account, I have more subscribers on YouTube than all the Satanists put together, even Peter Gilmore. So it's like, what happened here? Like, he should have cornered that market, but he didn't.
Yeah, he's been pretty critical of. Satanic Temple, to say the least, pretty vocal, and I don't get it. I don't get what he's going to get out of it. He's kind of painted himself in the corner a little bit. I don't know.
With the Satanic Temple and Peter Gilmore's approach to it is basically Peter Gilmore doesn't recognize any satanic organization outside the Church of Satan. In fact, in Satanic scriptures, he even said you really can't be a Satanist unless you're part of the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
So that's his stance. Is we're the elite. All the rest of you guys are just internet wannabes. Which is unfortunate, because he should really support what the Satanic Temple is trying to do.
You would think so.
I definitely think so. And
you would think. You would think he would do it. I mean, I would expect him. If I had to, before any of this shit started, if I would have had to guess whether Peter would support it or not, I would have said that he probably would, but he's not going to go out of his way. But he probably would support it. And I thought at least he'd be quiet about it, not have anything common about it. But he's gone out of his way to do the opposite of that, which I thought was kind of strange. I had a lot of respect for him, but.
He doesn't. I think he does get what the Satanic Monument's about. I just don't think he wants to give any credit, because it's not about putting a 7-foot, 30,000 tall statue of Baphomet next to the Ten Commandments. It's really not what it's about. And people miss this. What it's about is getting the Ten Commandments taken down. And if it takes $30,000 in a 7-foot tall statue of Baphomet to bring awareness to the separation of church and state, and that they're violating the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Yeah,
and that's what it's going to take.
Exactly, I would agree with that. I mean, you got to do something. Sometimes you've got to do something, or people are never going to pay attention. You know what I mean? And we're at the point where this is something that people are paying attention to now. I think it was genius myself when I first heard about it. That's what I thought it was great. It was about time, actually.
It is, and the ACLU was in the middle of litigation with that Ten Commandment monument, and then Satanic Temple stepped forward and said, okay, well, they're going to allow the Ten Commandments, and they're going to allow the Satanic monument, and that's when all shit broke loose.
I know. It's interesting. I was wondering how the ACLU was going to approach it, but I think they've embraced the idea too. So there's kind of like their backup plan, I guess. What you would say. I don't want to be not in their head, but I would just guess that's probably what they're thinking. I don't see how they're going to lose though. Hopefully, we'll see. It's fucking Oklahoma.
I would like to see them. I would like to see the Baphomet monument go up.
I would too. I'd like to be there for that.
It's probably not going to happen. But what will happen is there's three things that are going to happen. Either the monument's going to go up, which is unlikely, or they're going to have to take the Ten Commandments down.
Yep.
Or they won't, and there's going to be a major lawsuit.
I can't see.
So
it's
a win-win situation for Satanism.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I can't see happen. I can't see the Ten Commandments staying, and I can't see the Baphomet going. I mean, do you think there's? Could you see what would happen in Oklahoma if that thing went up? What would happen? They go batshit crazy there, man. They would go crazy.
Oh, yeah, it would. That's why it's probably never going to be allowed up, but then the lawsuits will come and they'll have to take the Ten Commandments down.
Yeah. Why don't they find a nice church for the Ten Commandments? That's what we did here in Oakland. We had Ten Commandments at the zoo, at the city zoo. They had a Ten Commandments up, and it was in a courtyard where people get married and have group events and stuff. Just as big. It was like a big, gaudy. It wasn't even nice. It was like big, gaudy, ugly thing. Well, we told them we wanted, you need to get that out of here. And they came and they took it and they put it in a nice church. When we had to start some shit and threatened, to do some things. But eventually they just took it and put it in a nice church where those kind of things belong. Everybody can look at it if they want to, and you don't have to have it as a big gaudy piece of crap in the middle of your wedding if you don't want to.
Right.
So let's talk about a little bit about the Satanic International Network. How long have you been doing that?
I made Satanic. It's about to run up on 4 years. In July, it will have been 4 years. I established it in 2010 for the basic purpose of just being a networking hub for Satanists to communicate, hook up, exchange ideas, debate, whatever.
It's been tough for Satanists, right? I mean, there hasn't been anything. The Church of Satan kind of frowns on meetings, I guess, is from what I've heard from Peter Gilmore.
The Church of Satan has their own kind of, I think it's called Letters to the Devil type social network.
Yeah.
But it's so one-sided. Like, if you have an opinion that's different than Peter Gilmore's, they just kick you off.
Oh, yeah.
We're a Satanic International Network, although I'm not a theistic Satanist. I'm an atheistic Satanist. But I allow the intelligent Satanists. I don't kick people off because they have a different opinion than me. I kick them off if they're stupid.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's fair. I think that's fair. It's not asking too much for people not to be stupid.
I would say I think theistic Satanism is stupid because you're still believing in an imaginary friend. It's kind of an inverted Christianity.
It is the same ignorance.
The intelligent ones that like to debate and like to try to make a point, hey, that's for interesting conversation.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just, I don't. Are there a lot of theistic Satanists?
I would say that actually theistic Satanists probably outnumber atheistic Satanists or Lavey Satanists, you want to call them that, or modern Satanists, just because of the death metal crowd. A lot of those guys, really believe that there's a real devil, and stuff like that. And, it's a lot of teenagers, and Satanism is back on the rise. So I would say, it's slightly more popular, but yeah.
Do you think it's something that you tend to grow out of, though? I know, because I was the same way. You know what I mean? When I was younger, it was the same thing. It was an opportunity to kind of voice my rebellion. Gave me an opportunity to voice my rebellion, and that's how I did it. With the Satanism thing. It wasn't. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I kind of grew out of it and started actually thinking about things, and ended up back at Satanism, but from a different angle.
Oh, of course. That's a very common story. That's actually my story. Is I realized that I didn't believe in God, but so I tried to delve into the occult, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing because I was so young, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
And then I, stumbled across the Satanic Bible, and then I figured, wow, this is what I believe. This is how I feel. This is what best described me. But yeah, I do think it often starts as a rebellion phase. And a lot of people get trapped in the box. They get trapped in the box of either it's God or devil, good or evil, and it takes a while, some maturity and looking around, introspectiveness to break out of that. And some of these theistic Satanists, and most of them, don't ever break out of that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It just take a while to break out. You've got to live a little, I think, to understand. There's the gray areas, kind of. In fact, it's all gray as far as I'm concerned. The evil. I'm going to do that for a subject on the podcast one of these days. Good and evil kind of deal, because a lot of people don't get the concept. They don't understand. They cannot fathom the possibility that there's no such thing as true evil. You know what I mean? They just want to. I don't know. They just don't get it. And it's a
good book. A good book that addresses that is Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil, and Marilyn Manson basically took a quote in one of his interviews that I saw. He says, "Good is what makes you feel good, and evil is what makes you feel bad."
Yeah.
And then you have the whole satanic ritual abuse, satanic panic, all that stuff, that stemmed back in the late 80s.
Thank you, Geraldo Rivera. Thank you very much.
Michelle remembers all these, hypnotists, all these guys making a buck off of sensationalism. And then you have a couple serial killers that, claim to be Satanists and devil made me do it type of excuse.
Hey, do you think I think that that's been harmful in another way too, that a lot of people, I don't hear many people talking about, is when you've got a jury that's been hearing about this satanic panic thing, and then you've got somebody that's accused of doing a murder based on Satanism, that's going to have an effect on that person's right to have a fair trial and be judged fairly, right? And I have a real problem with just kind of they ignore that factor in many cases. So they don't even think about that. And I even talked to the Webster Dictionary people about their definition of Satanism, because I think their definition of Satanism is even harmful. If you've got somebody that's accused of something involving Satanism, that doesn't necessarily mean that the definition in Webster is a type of Satanism. You know what I mean? I do. And when people try to address, when they ask me, like, what's up with satanic ritual abuse? Why are these serial killers saying they're Satanists if Satanism isn't really accurately represented the way they're presenting it? I tell them, look, crazy people do crazy things. Yep. According to the Malleus Maleficarum, 9 million people were legally put to death for witchcraft and heresy against the church, the Christian church. Mm-hmm. So who's actually killing who here? Not only that, but scientists, too. I mean, if you're a scientist, you're a heretic. Fuck, if you just didn't go to church, you're a heretic. If you're an attractive woman that didn't fucking give the priest a blowjob, you're a heretic. Yeah. I mean, you're a heretic for whatever they wanted you to be a heretic for. There's going to be a Black Mass tour. We're trying to put it together. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying that because it's way too early. Yeah. But it's in the works. There's much more to come regarding that. But based on the turnout of what happened at Harvard, the response, the response, the turnout, it's going to cause massive media attention, and a lot of awareness, not only towards Satanism. That's a good idea. But other things as well. Yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah. So that hopefully will be coming up in the next 6 months. Yeah, cool. Yeah, if you need any help with that, let me know. Definitely. Yeah, we will need help. Brian, Weirner is great. Obviously, Singer Vital Remains, a famous death metal band. Yeah. He's got the ability to do it, and I can help promote. And nice. Lucy is the most articulate, well-spoken of the three of us. Lucy is kind of the face person. I mean, well, fuck, the guy's fucking brilliant. I mean, he's a Harvard graduate. I graduated from School of Hard Knocks Life. So. Yeah, I know. I like him. He's a good guy. He's well-spoken. I told him I'm never going to be like that, man. So, that's cool. Some people have that in their blood, I guess. He's really just good at it. Spokesman is what he's made to be, man. He's cut out for that perfectly. I'm getting off topic like I always do. Let's see. Okay, let's go back to the website some more. Do you have a lot of conflict? Do you have a lot of people, do you have to babysit a lot, or does it take care of itself pretty much? You got a lot of moderators? We've had some major conflicts. We've had, uprisings. We've had people trying to destroy the site. There's been a lot of butthurt floating around. A lot of people join, and of course it's free, but they join and then they try to participate. Sometimes they get bullied off. Sometimes they get frustrated because, they get mocked off. It's the internet, man. I was going to say, it's the internet. I've been on some sites that are so heavily moderated, you got to be really careful of what you say. I don't want Satanic International Network to ever be like that. I want to be kind of like half moderation. Like, if you're an idiot or if you're a troll, if you're there to cause trouble, you're gone. But, I like to let water settle at its own level. Yeah. It's stratification, even on the internet. Pull your pants up, grow some balls, get some thicker skin, and fire back. Because it is the internet, So. I was thinking you might have some issues there just because of the, I don't know, I don't want to say that there's a certain personality that Satanists, you can label Satanists with, but it says they do seem to be, I don't know, a little more aggressive sometimes, a little more. Well, that is true. I see more internal fighting within Satanism than I do between Satanists and Muslims, Satanists and Christians. Yeah. And, egos collide, nobody wants to back down. Yeah. Nobody wants to admit they're wrong. And, it causes problems. And I try to let shit settle itself and work itself out. But if I need to get involved, I obviously do. And so do my other admin. Yeah. How many members you got on there? Poster on the front page. Last time I checked, it's probably higher now. But 6,700, just over that. That's not bad. Not at all. Not for 4 years. No, not at all. Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty. I mean, it actually is now. Although there are two other networks that post higher numbers, but it is the predominant social networking site for Satanism. And it's not just about numbers, though, either. I mean, it's about no, it's about activity. Exactly. It's about how many people are posting. You could have a network of
20 million people if only 6 people post. So,
yeah, exactly. No content there. Yeah.
Right.
No content there at all.
Right. Every day, man, every day I spend at least an hour reading through the new posts, and I kind of skim through the ones that I think are stupid or not interested in. But, there's a lot of content being generated. There's a lot, especially from new people that are new to Satanism.
Is that something you're seeing now? You're seeing like an uptick a little bit, or?
Yeah, there is an uptick. It started off a little slow, but I do pretty good promotion on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, and now at the Satanic Temple, the sect of the Horn God, it's starting to really.
Yeah.
I get about 20 users a day. We'll just call it that number.
Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty accurate.
Is there a trend you see since you're reading through the posts and stuff? Is there something you see trending that's interesting or caught your eye?
Not really, man.
No?
It's so well varied. Yeah, it's random. Like certain topics, just like on any forum, will get hit up and get going, but nothing real specific. Satanic monuments, one thing that has gotten a lot of interest.
What's the opinion been on the monument? Has it been generally good, or?
It's been split. It's split. Half the Satanists think it's a publicity stunt, and it's stupid, and it's pointless, and then half of them are like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this," So it's really divided.
Yeah, I was thinking it would probably be something like that, because there's a lot of people that think that they're still stuck in thinking it's a publicity stunt just for attention. And I don't know, is there something wrong with doing something for attention? I don't know if there's something inherently wrong with that. Sometimes you need to do that. We talked about that earlier.
Well, if you're going to try to get the Ten Commandments statue taken down in Oklahoma, you're going to need publicity.
Yeah, exactly.
That's plain and simple. If nobody knows who you are, if you don't do stuff to generate attention, it's never going to happen.
Yep. It's not
you got to draw attention to your goal, and the goal is to get that fucking Ten Commandments taken down.
Yeah. Do you think that we're trying to force Satanism down people's throats by doing that? Because that's Peter Gilmore kind of gives that impression. He thinks that they're trying to force people to become Satanists simply by putting a monument there.
No, that's ludicrous. We at the Satanic Temple can give two shits what you believe in, so long as you don't infringe upon our rights.
Yeah.
Just like the Founding Fathers said when they wrote the First Amendment. It wasn't the 10th Amendment. It wasn't the 20th Amendment. The First Amendment, separation of church and state.
Now, on the first podcast we talked, I played a recording that Lucien had done on the Huffington Post with Wesselhoff. I don't know if you heard that or not, where he talks about how our laws are based on the Ten Commandments, and that's where all our laws came from there. And that's why he thinks it belongs in front of the state capitol, because all our laws are based on that. How can we not understand that? Dude is a tool. I mean, totally just ignorant beyond belief. A representative, too. And I'll continue the conversation I had with Zach Black a little bit later in the podcast. You are listening to the Modern Satanism Podcast.
Let's take a moment and discern the spirits. Here, there's some atheist complainers, and we've been talking about them in the show. And they don't think that they're full of the devil. They don't think there's something inside of them. Oh, these are just our own human choices that we want to make. But I respectfully disagree. Here's a graphic or artist conception of what a demon might look like. But
it's really scary, too. It's very scary.
How would they know? Because demonic spirits are invisible, how would they know if there's something inside of them because they can't see it?
How do you know it's
demonic? I'll tell you the way they can know is because they can sense the demonic spirit tempting them to sin. You don't listen with your ears necessarily. You don't look with your eyes or smell. You don't use your 5 senses to discern a demonic spirit.
No, why use those?
You use your morality.
Is that one of the senses?
And when there's a voice telling you to sin, to do what is evil, you think you ought to listen to that voice or you ought to reject it. So there is a sixth sense that we use. The discerning of spirits comes through our morality of right and wrong. And when you hear a voice tempting you to do what is right, you think, well, maybe that's the Holy Spirit. I should do the right thing.
That's not what I think.
When you hear a spirit, or you feel, or you sense in some way a voice or a suggestion telling you and tempting you to do what is evil.
No such thing as evil.
You ought to just reject that voice as a demonic spirit and say, I'm not going to let you rule inside of me.
So I shouldn't buy that pizza then?
Just because they can't see it. In fact, the Bible says this in 2 Corinthians 4.
No, please don't do the Bible thing. Please no.
This is the reason they can't see it. Because Satan, who is the god of this world, has blinded the minds of those who don't believe. They are unable to see the glorious light of the good news.
Can't you think for yourself?
Understand the message about the glory of Christ, who is the exact likeness of God.
Why you always got to quote the Bible? Why can't you think
so
for
an
yourself?
atheist complainer, he looks at Jesus and doesn't see the glory of Christ. He's blind.
Maybe it's not there.
And who has blinded him? Satan inside of him has blinded his eyes.
Is that what it is?
It's impossible for atheists to discern the demonic spirits.
Yeah, impossible because they're not really there. And that was Gordon Klingenschmidt, what a name, telling atheists that they have demons making them blind or whatever it is he wants us to believe. Obviously, Gordon can't think for himself. He has to quote scripture from the Bible, like you hear so often. He can't form his own thoughts about the subject. I don't know. Do you feel like you're blinded? I don't feel like I'm blinded. This little bit of information is brought to you by the Atheist Republic, so I'd like to give them credit for that. Hopefully we can get somebody from this organization or group to come and visit me on the show and hang out for a few in the future. Yeah. The picture he showed about atheists or about demons, the picture of demons, was pretty scary. So you might want to give a second thought about that morality you got there, you guys. I personally think that maybe that voice telling me to get a pizza might be an evil voice. But I always eat the pizza anyways. I don't know.
I'd like to see Satanists become a little bit more proactive with political.
Yeah, me too.
Political things like the Satanic Temple, but that's why I support them, and I'm a minister too, and I like to see the Sect of the Horn God.
Yeah.
People that are members of the Sect of the Horn God, which there are hundreds of worldwide, step up and start to do a little bit more. But it's difficult. And it's a slow process. It's an uphill fight, and everybody has jobs and stuff they got to do.
Yeah, real life always gets in the way of shit. Yeah.
Exactly. That's draining enough, much less put aside some time to actually go out and do stuff. But I'd like to see Satanism move off, not necessarily off the internet, but I want it to stay on the internet, but I want to see it move in more into real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does need to cross over.
Use the internet to promote the crossover.
Yeah, because the internet's a hell of a tool, but you need to do some real life shit too, or you're not going to get anywhere. You can sit on the internet and yell and scream all day if you want to. And I found this to be true with skeptical movement and atheist movement, if you want to call them that, with both of those mindsets, where if you just on the internet just squawking about shit, you're limited to what you can affect, really. You got to go out and you got to show people, hey, we don't like this. Hey, you got to stop doing that. Or hey, we believe in this, and show up there. Bodies need to show up to convince people sometimes, or to show you really you're not screwing around. You're not just some dude in his fucking office chair in his basement somewhere.
Here's the thing with the forums and the YouTube videos, the satanic sites. Everybody's a big fucking badass behind Google. Everybody's fucking high priest, blah, 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 magister, blah, 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 whatever, warlock, fucking grand poobah, fancy pants, pick a name. They just fucking pick it for themselves, they didn't really earn it. Now, everybody has an opinion, and, there's some people, a few handfuls of people that, have made kind of a splash on the forums and social networking sites as being badass Satanists. But then, they get up and they go to work at Walmart.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Like, really? Like, and it's just get out there and do something. I got nothing against Walmart or somebody who works at Walmart. Everybody needs a fucking job. But it's like, what do you fucking really do?
Yeah.
Except for sit and blog and talk shit on the internet.
Exactly.
Do something.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to show up. You got to show up to the party.
And that's one thing that attracted me to the Satanic Temple. It's like,
action.
Oh, shit. Look, here's somebody, action, yes. Yeah. And here's somebody who's putting their money where their mouth is. It's like, oh, $30,000. In fact, well, as you know now.
That's some shit, huh? That's awesome. Yeah, that's some shit.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than that now, but yeah. Well, as far as financial goes, but yeah, I mean, it's put your money where your mouth is. Get out there and do something. And now you got Lucian doing all these interviews, on MSNBC and all this shit.
Yeah, he's been busy.
Fuck yeah, and he's great. I think they could be a better spokesperson, spokesperson than him. I mean, he fucking nails it every time.
Yeah, I know. And nobody will debate him. We talked about that on the first podcast. He's having trouble finding anybody to debate him.
I got a chance to be a podcast, but it's a very popular podcast called The Thinking Atheist, and they had Peter Gilmore on.
Yeah, and I know him.
They actually wanted me to do it because Peter Gilmore was not responding, but he eventually at the last minute did it, although I had agreed to do it. So they obviously picked Gilmore first.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, great. Well, open up the phones. Let me call, and I'll do it with Gilmore. And he's like, oh, Gilmore won't take live calls. You just have to, float on in after him after he's done. I was like, what a fucking pussy.
Yeah, I don't want to talk shit, but the thinking atheist is sometimes we don't see eye to eye on things. We've had a couple skirmishes, and I like. I've met him in real life. He's an alright guy. We get along good. We just don't have the same style. Let's put it that way. And Peter Gilmore's a tricky one to get on a show. I did an interview with him a couple of years back, and it was a little bit difficult to get him on then. He's like he shies away from any type of anything that has a possibility of being confrontational is what it seems.
Oh,
like.
yes. And he not only confrontational, but you're absolutely right about that, but he'll also shy away from any possible chance of somebody making him look stupid, and that's why he won't take live calls, because he doesn't want some Satanist up there, or anybody for that matter, making him look stupid.
Yeah.
The Church of Satan is very image-oriented. They're very, they're all serious about themselves. It's very important that, their message gets across and that they won't be challenged.
Yeah,
live,
wouldn't you think that he would be more careful with his words? Why? I don't get what he could be thinking in his head with some of the shit he says. I mean, you'd think he'd be more careful, and he seems to just kind of blurt out this shit that's just really easy to see through. I mean, if you know anything at all, I don't know. It's really weird to me, some of the shit he says, because he doesn't hold water, And if your beliefs are true, and if you really believe and you've thought them through, they're going to stand up to scrutiny. You're going to be able to back them up.
So you know that Boyd Rice was actually supposed to be the high priest, right?
I've heard a couple different things, but what?
Yeah, that's Boyd. What you heard is most of it's probably true. I know a lot of people that are involved directly with the administration of the Church of Satan, people that know Blanche Barton, people that knew Anton Lavey, people that know Gilmore. Apparently, according to almost everybody, Anton would be rolling over in his grave if he knew Peter Gilmore was high priest.
What about Peter referring to Anton? He does it really more often than I'm comfortable with. It's kind of creepy, saying Anton Lavey would not appreciate this. He would not support this. He wouldn't do. I mean, it seems kind of weird.
I see where you're going. I see what you're getting at. You know what? My opinion on that is, Anton Lavey's dead.
Exactly.
So, what Anton Lavey was doing in the 60s is not necessarily what, is going to happen today. I mean, it's outdated. The whole Laveyan Satanism thing is outdated.
Yeah.
In my opinion. That's just, and you have the Sect of the Horn God, and you have the Satanic Temple, other organizations that are moving up to front and step up. Exactly. Nothing stays forever, and for Satanism to continue to evolve, it must change.
Yeah. Because if it doesn't, then it's doomed to be what it hates.
Yep.
And I don't know. I just have problems with the third party interpreting what a dead person is going to be thinking about something to do, because he can't possibly imagine what his opinion would be on some things. I mean, look at the change we've gone through since 1966. I mean, fuck. Incredible changes, not just in social changes, but technology and all kinds of, totally different landscape. Nobody could have ever imagined where we would be now, back in 66, ever. And I think Anton he was a fucking genius. I mean, what he did was genius. Nothing less than that. I don't care. I mean, his critics, whatever, he got results. I mean, he did build a church that got serious attention, exactly what he set out to do, I think. I think it's impressive myself. But it is 2014.
Yeah, no, it was impressive, and it was something that worked really well at the time, but it needs to be modernized. Hence the name Modern Satanism. It needs to evolve, and it needs to be adjusted according to the times.
Yeah. Do you have any opinions on how women have been portrayed as Satanists?
Oh, yeah. In fact, one interesting fact is that males outnumber women 10-1, if not more.
Yeah.
And I think that is because women tend to have a harder time identifying with the role or the masculine archetype of Satan, more feminine, just by nature. And a lot of them tend to lean more towards Wicca or other sort of, quasi left-hand path groups. And I noticed the majority of women in Satanism who identify themselves as Satanists are theistic.
Yeah.
Really? And I think that kind of has to do with the same thing. As far as women portrayed in Satanism, I don't know. I mean, I personally, I I think it's great. I mean, I don't think it should be a male-dominated philosophy, but it seems to be. Just like the symbol of Baphomet has tits.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think that's also to kind of represent, the symbolic gesture of life.
And that is a great symbol too, because it goes through so much time. It's been around for a long period of time, and it represents a lot of different types of Satanism and thinking, Satanistic thinking. It's really. I think it was a perfect pick for the Oklahoma site.
The Baphomet is such a good pick for the Satanic monument for a few reasons. It's an old occult symbol, and if you notice, his hands, one's pointing to the sky, one's pointing below. That's an old magical reference to as below, so is above. The microcosm, the macrocosm have that influence, which is occultic left-hand path thinking. And at the same time, it's kind of a universal symbol of Satanism. Like, it kind of touches upon a whole area instead of one specific group, which I think was why the Satanic Temple chose that. And I think that was a great idea. One criticism that I've heard from other Satanists is, who they decide what the monument should look like. They don't represent all Satanists. And my response is, yeah, they don't. But you know what? I don't see you putting up $30,000 plus for a fucking statue. So yeah,
you get $30,000. You put up whatever fucking statue you want. You put a big banana up there if you want. I don't give a shit.
Exactly. Exactly. The monument doesn't say the Satanic Temple on it.
Because we're not. I'm not gonna. That's gonna be a deal breaker. I'm not gonna be able to get behind that shit. But they're gonna put big bananas around. But it's easy for people to talk though. It's easy for them to talk and be critical and but action.
Yeah, a lot of the naysayers, and the detractors are pointing out that it doesn't represent us all, and it's like what is there anything that represents us all?
Yeah, and is anything claimed
it's kind of a universal symbol.
Yeah, nobody's claimed that. Anyways, I mean, we're not hearing this "we define Satanism" talk from the Satanic Temple. It's not happening.
You're right.
It's just plain not happening. So anybody that wants to try and say that, it's putting words in their mouth because it's just not happening. And there's no intent to do that in the future. I mean, that's not part of what they're trying to do. That's not what they're setting out to do. It's not their mission statement to do that. And
agreed.
We need to get past that. It would be easier because then we can have dialogue if people can get past this kind of this. I don't want to. Well, I guess I could say this stupid shit that they want to put on the temple when they've never said it. They've never even alluded to it, and just stop. Let's talk about things that are actually been said. There's enough to talk about there. It kind of pisses me off when people want to just take it off in their own direction and make assumptions and run with them because it doesn't help. It doesn't help any of us. It doesn't help any of us. There's already enough hurdles to get over with the general population being totally having no idea what the fuck they're talking about when they talk about Satanism. No idea from my experience. So you want to give people links to where they can find you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to participate in Satanic International Network. It's free to join. There's blogs, forums. You can upload pics, videos, live chat room, video chat room, text chat room, IM Messenger. There's a library there. There's merchandise there. There's all kinds of stuff, and it's the largest and most active social networking site for Satanists. Although it's not exclusive for Satanists. There are atheists there, agnostics, there's even a few Christians and Muslims running around.
Nice, yeah.
But it's designed for Satanists. It's kind of like the Facebook of Satanism.
Yeah, but it's not an echo chamber. That's cool.
Exactly. It's not exclusive, and it's a good place to come to learn. Just make sure you have some thick skin, because it is the internet, and, no one's going to teach you shit. You need to go out and learn yourself, like before the internet. You need to go out and pick up a book and read.
Yeah.
But you are welcome. And then, of course, it's the Satanic Temple, and, of course, the Sect of the Horn God. Those are the only three things I'm really affiliated with.
Nice, cool. Hey, thanks for taking some time. Appreciate it.
All right, Reaper.
Hey, we'll stay in touch.
Problem, dude.
Right.
Yep, I'll talk to you on Facebook.
Okay.
Later, man.
And that brings this Modern Satanism podcast to a close. I'd like to thank Zach for taking the time to speak with me. I'd like to thank you for listening, and I'd like to ask you to kindly share the podcast, pass it around so that we can inform, enlighten, and entertain people. And remember to visit the Satanic Temple at thesatanictemple.com, as well as the Satanic International Network, the satanicinternationalnetwork.com, and you can find the podcast at modernsatanism.net in case you're listening to the podcast somewhere other than the website. You can also feel free to donate to Modern Satanism to keep the podcast going. Share donations that will help it continue. And to wrap up this podcast, we have a public service announcement from who else? Hail Satan.
This is Satan. And although I'm not real, if I was, I'd tell people who try to define Satanism, like Peter Gilmore, to fuck off. No one defines Satanism. No one person, no one group. As far as activism goes, I told God to fuck off. How much more active can you get than that? There's nothing wrong with activism, so shut the fuck up. This has been a public service announcement from Satan. He's not real, but he'll tell you where to go.